And what kills me is because you sit behind a desk, you ain't doing shit all day. You just sitting there looking at a computer.
Well, that's nice.
There's nothing involved with that.
That's so whenever you hear someone say that, 9 times out of 10 it's a man, and 9 times out of 10 it's a man that has physical labor.
Yes,
their job.
They grinding.
Yes.
9 times out of 10, them same men got coarse hands. You know, that shit is
dirty
rough.
fingernails.
Which I don't have a problem with coarse hands, but at the same time, don't assume that your job is better or more important than mine.
I got a problem with coarse hands. I'm sorry. Don't touch me.
My skin is delicate. My skin is delicate.
Don't be coming at me with no rough hands.
Yeah.
To another episode of Not Your Average Aunties, where we drop it like it's hot.
When the knees don't act up.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they do. Okay.
Cheers, ladies.
But mine was popping last weekend.
Yours was popping, bitch. Let me
it
tell you something. This bitch went down low. She was like, yo, I'm rocking with Meg. You got that shit. You came up with ease. I said, bitch, you got it. I shouldn't be impressed because you've done it before. But let me tell you something.
That was probably like 20 years ago.
Bullshit. She always be going low. This auntie here, she ain't dropping shit. I drop it like a little squat. I squat. I don't drop it. That's a better way of saying it.
You drop it.
I can get down there. Coming back up is the issue.
So this bitch went down. She said she was going down low, and her boo was right behind her.
Yeah, keeping up.
Right behind her.
Yes.
I was like, ooh, look, me and Rich was looking at them niggas.
And I heard him too when he said it.
Like, look at this nigga. Showing up and showing it.
Listen,
I love it.
It was a fun night.
Yes. Black love, baby. I love it.
Yeah, you know I'm for the black love.
Yes. Okay, so we're now off topic. We're talking about women's rights.
Yes.
She has the right to drop it low.
And I had the right to drop it low.
Yes. You had the right to drop it low. Let me tell you, what are we drinking? Pinot Grigio, not Sauvignon Blanc.
Menage a trois.
Oh, is it Pinot Grigio?
That's what it's called?
Yes.
Switched it up?
Yes.
It's good.
I've had a Pinot in a while.
Me neither. It's good. It's good. So women's rights.
So we know this is like a
heavy topic.
But before we do that, can we just talk to our viewers for a second? So just to say thank you.
Yes.
For those who have subscribed.
Yes.
We are still asking for subscriptions. We would love for you to subscribe. We would love for you to comment. We would love for you to send us in things that you want to hear or have us talk about. So please like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yes.
And send us in some things that you want us to chat about with you. So, and now to get into this lovely, fun topic. I don't know if we could call it fun, but it's a topic that is probably very important at this time.
Yes.
In this climate.
It's ripe. It's ready. It's ready to peel back. Peel back that banana, baby.
I mean, it's been being talked about for quite some time, but right now I can't tell you how super important it is right now. So
damn, it's that close.
It's very close.
Yeah.
Election time is really close. We are normally we do not talk about like political things.
And we're not gonna get too political because we're only going to be talking about one specific thing because there's lots of things across the
we can talk about
landscape.
But we're going to talk about women's rights because we are women. We have rights. We would like to continue to exercise our rights.
Yes.
And would like you to be able to do the same. What we've been challenged with and continue to be challenged with to this day, like a lot of it is still very, very prevalent today. Like unequal pay still exists.
Yes.
So. And there's many things we talk about equal, right? So I don't want it to be more solely on what people think it is in terms of autonomy of our body, because it's more than that.
Okay.
So autonomy of our body is one, but equal pay, you still have racial injustice, you have gender-based violence, inadequate health care. Just to level set as well is that these things are not consistent across the world. So things you may have rights to here, they don't have rights in other countries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unequal political representation, human trafficking. Still,
that's a whole nother thing. That's a $1 billion business, and it's even though it's obviously heavily women and young children, but it's also men.
It's men too.
It's men too, but we're talking about women.
When you look at statistics, statistics show girls and women make up 71% of all victims in trafficking. Yeah. So
is it? I'm assuming there's more children though, because the women piece of it.
Well, they combine women and children. They didn't say just women.
Okay.
We probably have to look that up to get the breakdown of what it is, but. Either way, it's $1 billion business, and it's been happening for years. I think there's more awareness around that piece within the last, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20 years. But even it still doesn't get the amount of...
It's more awareness, but...
Awareness is a shit.
So to even break it down even further, because... And you've seen this in films, you've seen this in real life. When it comes to human trafficking and the individual goes missing, who is focused on more versus less? So minorities.
Yes.
When this happens to minorities, it's not as highlighted as it does when it's a non-minority. I forget a couple of years ago there was a story where all these black girls were going missing. And
it's still happening.
I know, but that was the first time you probably really heard a story
about it. Yes.
And no one's talking about it.
And no one's talking.
And it didn't get a lot of mainstream media either.
Exactly.
And I can't tell you how many times on my timeline that I see, find my daughter, find my sister, my niece, you name it, right? The younger they are, and I'm not talking about children, but like teenage or up in their 20s or whatever.
Yes.
And that is something that I see so often on my timeline, and you wonder, like, these black girls, you don't see that. They don't come across, Fine Susan. That's not in mainstream media. We're just not getting the show. And it sucks, even when you walk through, I don't know if those signs are still there in Atlanta, but when you walk through the airport in Atlanta, it talks about trafficking. Like, you see little signs.
Oh, yeah. I was in the, I just came back from a work trip, and they have a sign in the bathroom. If you are a victim of whatever have you, they have a sign. And I'm thinking to myself, how are they going to call somebody? Like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, I know people figure things out, but it's like they put this number there. And it's like, to me, I don't know if that's enough. What I'm getting at is I don't know if that sign is enough. Yes, it's an alert. It's something to make you think about something. But typically, when you're in those situations and you go to the restroom, you're not in the restroom alone. You're in the restroom with one of the cohorts.
Because they were already following you and probably followed you into the bathroom.
Or you might even be in, like, already trafficked.
That's what I'm saying. You're already trafficked and you're in the restroom. Somebody's in there that's a part of this.
That's a part of the whole thing.
Watching.
And sometimes they're women too.
Oh,
a lot, so you got to be careful when we talk about women's rights, but not to take away or shine more light on women's rights versus like men. But the reality is there's just a lot of pressure that women have. Yeah. I don't know that we talk about it enough. Yeah. I mean, we always highlight the stuff that men, and I'm not saying men don't have pressure. We're just focusing right now on women. And just as an analogy, because the same way someone can kind of get at us and say, like, well, Black Lives Matter, what about all lives matter? So just think about this. An analogy I like to use is the dentist. When you go to the dentist, your fucking tooth hurt, you asking the dentist to look at that motherfucking tooth. You're not asking the dentist to look at all your teeth. They're going to look at all your teeth because they all matter.
Yeah. Because I just went to the dentist and one tooth hurt, and I'm telling about this one over here. They focus on the one that they want to fix. So maybe not.
But my point is, we not shitting on the rest of your teeth. They all matter. Yes. Nobody wants to walk around with gums and shit. But when we talk about it, it's like we focused on that one tooth right now. So while there's men's rights, women's rights, we focused on women's rights. Same like Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. We focused on Black lives. Yeah. Just a woman being in a household with children. I don't remember this actress' name right now, but I really love her. I'm just off today. But she was married to the black dude on This Is Us. She is married to him. I don't remember her name.
I don't remember her name. They have a podcast.
They have a podcast, and I love her.
Yeah, the both of them
love them together.
Yeah.
But she brought something to life. She defined something for me that I never always acknowledged it, but I didn't have like a term for it. It's called invisible labor. Right. So when you are a mom and you have to keep track of dental appointments, the lacrosse games, the dance recitals, that's an invisible
labor
tax.
That I call it mental labor.
Mental labor.
I used to use that terminology because people will be like, "Oh, you're just sitting at a desk." I may be sitting at a desk and I may not be exuding physical labor,
but I got a lot of shit
labor
rolling.
Yes. It's the same.
And what kills me is because you sit behind a desk, you ain't doing shit all day. You just sitting there looking at a computer.
Well, that's
nice.
There's nothing involved with that.
That's so whenever you hear someone say that, 9 times out of 10 it's a man, and 9 times out of 10 it's a man that has physical labor as their job.
They grinding.
Yes.
9 times out of 10, I'm saying men got coarse hands. You know, that shit is
dirty
rough.
fingernails.
Which I don't have a problem with coarse hands, but at the same time, don't assume that your job is better or more important than mine.
I got a problem with coarse hands. I'm sorry. Don't touch me.
My skin is delicate. My skin is delicate.
Don't be coming at me with no rough hands. Yeah. I don't like that shit. But seriously, there's a mental tax, mental labor, invisible labor. I love that when it was coined. Well, I'm saying she coined it, but because there's all those things that we actually think about as women, and independent of whether you have children or not. I'm saying children because that just adds extra layer.
Running a household.
Running a household.
And that goes back to what I'm saying, that with me, I be having 12 to 15 things going on at the same time. And it's hard to turn it off. Even trying to go to sleep, you're still
until the task it doesn't shut off. So I watched that episode and I appreciated it when she broke that down too.
It resonated well with me. But I love her as an actress. I love what she stands for and how she's portrayed herself, specifically in media. And that was just a great, awesome way of like describing it to you.
Yes.
And then we talk about obviously the physical aspect of women's rights, of how now it's getting to the point where depending on which way we go in this election in the United States, and I'm saying the United States because we do have viewers that are outside of the U.S., they already rolled back Roe versus Wade with the abortion pieces. Yeah. Now that is something that, a lot of women today are, if they want to have an abortion, and there are a myriad of different reasons why that can be the case. Some people are so linear in their thinking that they don't think, okay, if the person is, God forbid, raped, they may not want to look at that kid for 18 years.
They're not thinking about all the consequences that come behind certain situations. So, I mean, because that could even be bigger. So imagine being forced to have a child that was born out of rape. Add to the fact that, you already have kids today who are in homes where they're not wanted. So you're going to make somebody have a child that they don't want because of a law that says you are going to have this child. So it's just making me think about the freaking television show that we watched, Handmaid's Tale.
Oh my God!
About that, right?
Amazing show.
Yeah. So you talk about that because they were talking about contraception. So while there's and I think they're trying to control that as well in some cases, right? But they're also spreading misinformation about contraception, so people don't use contraception.
Exactly.
So it's like all these different things that are being put on women outside of telling them what they can't do already, but giving them misinformation so they don't even try to protect themselves is just as bad.
The other thing too is so I do know a couple of women that actually, with the example that I gave you guys, that unfortunately were raped, but they decided to have kids. I do know
people do that.
They were definitely very religious. So that definitely had a part in it.
Yeah.
And luckily, all of these women, they love their kids, but that is still to me. I think they're so strong. Yeah. I don't know that I could do that.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Because I would be a constant reminder
of the trauma,
the trauma, right? But they are so strong. The kids are they're thriving. Some of them are grown, but so there are instances where it can work. But I think what's happening is that government is coming in and making these decisions. God forbid we get to a point where
we can't vote.
We're going backwards. You mentioned women's equality, equal pay. Yeah. They didn't want us even working
in the same field.
You
earning a high salary, just being a leader.
Probably won't even have a damn bank account.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Because
they gonna yoke my ass up. Try it.
Try it if you want.
I'm gonna lead the revolution.
You have to go back to the women's suffrage movement. Basically, when you think about it, right? So
it's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. So they start with one thing. It's going to lead to other.
And it's going to be a trickle effect happening.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
What bothers me, quite honestly, is how there are women out there that are supporting these changes.
Which for the life of me, I don't get, but okay.
I wonder if they're getting paid for it. I mean, weird shit.
I mean, if it's part of their religious belief, they've always felt that way. Mm-hmm. So, but if that's not the case, what is it that's putting you behind this movement?
Brainwashing.
Sorry.
Yeah, there was one person that told me they voted because, not because of anything else, but because this was the election prior,
2020,
because they didn't believe in abortion. That's the only thing that this person said to you in their campaign that made you said, "I'm giving this person my vote." That's crazy to me.
There's the amount of people in the United States that don't understand how we even elect a president, or even your elected officials within
to begin
locally.
With. Yes, let's start with that.
It's vast. Like the civics. I don't know. So in inner city, that shit wasn't even a fucking topic.
You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time. People show up at the polls at this time.
They
don't show up at the polls before this. I mean, there are people that do, but
not a lot.
Not enough. Not enough. They're not showing up all the time when it really counts, because this is just one vote technically when you think about it. So I think we just got to do better as a people. And at the end of the day, whatever side you choose, whatever side you choose, I just think you need to exercise your right and do it.
Yeah.
And I think too, when we talk about like equality around money and getting paid, pay equality, I think I can't stress the amount of time we as women, we just don't negotiate our salaries like we should, and particularly Black women. I'm seeing more of us do it now, which thankfully Black and Latinx, they're doing it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the folks, Asian folks, women negotiate more.
Yeah.
And I can say this only because I've been in HR for a million years, so I see all shapes and colors and creeds. Yeah. And
you have the examples.
But examples, we just don't talk. We don't do it.
I still don't think it's closing the gap, though.
No, far from it still.
So if you're looking at the macro level, I think that we're doing better than we were doing 20
we're doing
years
better.
ago.
Yes, we are, but
not close.
We still got a long way to go.
I still don't think a woman would ever make the same amount as a man doing the same job. That's the thing. It's not just closing the gap. It's allowing a woman to earn the same wage that a male counterpart earns doing the exact same thing,
and who's actually sometimes doing it better.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I just think if you hired me as a woman to do the same job that you hired John to do, I should be getting paid what John gets paid.
Exactly.
And it's so I agree with you. The other thing too is in the workplace, a lot of times opportunities are not granted to women depending on their age, depending on whether they're married or not, depending on whether they have children. A lot of decisions are being made and roles are being provided and given to other people, not women, even if she's very much qualified, simply because there's this thing where we don't know. I mean, if she gets married, how
committed is she?
How committed,
right? Does she have the time? That she has a family now. She got to get to the baseball game, whatever.
Yes.
Ben has to get to the baseball game too.
Well, you're right,
but we know the reality is of who's gonna actually goes back to what is the actress says invisible labor. The woman is typically taking care of those things and doing a lot of those things, right? So the expectation is that I would go to my child's game and after school program before my husband would. And that's not always the case. That's not always the case.
No, that's not always the case. It's just crazy, the mindset of how people think. And what I'm happy to hear, though, and I'm happy to see, although a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now is things that have affected us personally. But I'm happy to see that there are more men in prominent positions, decision-making positions, that are a little bit more knowledgeable about these issues. So there are men that are taking a stance in support of women.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
female allies and what's the other what is it?
They're an ally. I don't know there's so many different acronyms and all these kind of things. But it's nice. It's nice because you see it more now than you had in the past, than I have in the past. And again, even in HR settings, I'm seeing it more. But I also equally have seen when men do step up, that some of those men are then ostracized because they're taking a stance
to
right?
it,
So it takes
that's
guts,
unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
you know, to really
and it shouldn't even be like that.
And it shouldn't even be like that. And what's crazy too, when I see older men, they tend to have one of those older ideals, right? So they will be like, oh, you know, maybe when she get married, she ain't gonna be as committed, blah blah blah, right? The younger men, I see them being more progressive, which I love, unless they're raised by one of them older cats. Then they, you know,
because if you think about that, you're also seeing how the dynamics of home is as well. It's kind of flipping a little bit more, where the man is probably at home while the wife is working.
Yeah, that's happening too. Yeah.
Whatever, to me, it's at the end of the day, it's whatever works for the family, and whatever makes that family successful. So you do see, like you said, you see there's some progress happening there where you have men that are supporting women being in leadership roles and actually helping them get there. They're being their allies and stuff like that.
Which I love.
So, yeah.
So you, speaking to the men that are actually doing that out there, continue to keep doing that.
Yes.
Independent of whether you're getting
yes.
support or not. Because you're helping, even if what you want and what you're fighting for, you didn't win it, you are still,
you're part of it.
When
it happens, you are a part of that.
You're part of that. You're part of the movement, and you planted the seed. So keep never shy away from doing that. And for
and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and thank you for women out there, especially when it comes down to pay. I will say this. I will scream this to the top of my lungs. You know, always negotiate. Don't let, just because you never had a chance at that money in your life, that you thinking that they're giving you something that you're like, yes, I'll take it. You know,
which goes back to doing your, because some people, they don't know. So if they don't do their research and know what they should be getting paid, they're
do
gonna be
research. And sometimes also too, pay is not the only thing to negotiate. Right, so negotiate the
actual
pay.
take-home pay is just a part of
that's
the
just a part of it.
Package,
if you work for progressive organizations, and what I mean by that is your startup firms, etc., you need to be negotiating equity. Yeah. So my point is, do your research, figure out all the different levels and things you can negotiate. Negotiate. It's a reality. So we have to just understand that I'm not going to always expect somebody to do the right thing. I'm going to fight for myself, and let's see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know one of the other things that come up when it talks about women's rights, gender-based violence. I got data from Human Rights Career 2024. Over 1/3 of women and girls experience some kind of violence during their lifetime. And the risk increases during conflicts and natural disasters and other emergencies. Like intimate partners violence is the most common form of gender-based violence. So around 1 in 4 women have experienced physical and or sexual violence from an intimate partner. LGBTQ are affected as well. They don't talk about it enough. But again, women, they lose their rights because they're being physically abused. No one's believing them and all kinds of things like that. And the reason why I think we're talking about this topic, because we don't want people just to focus on the reproductive rights, because that's all just
that's what generally people when you think about women's rights, you're thinking about reproductive rights,
systems, and probably equal pay
but there's so many other things.
So many other things that that's not being talked about. Equal rights to healthcare, talk about that one as well. And again, that's another one that's race-based too. So when you think about how many women do not get the proper healthcare that they need based off of their race, based off of where the hospital is located at, based off where they live at, because that adds to the sex trafficking piece. So if you're in a predominantly low class area, nobody's going to think about you.
And I had thought that when they were talking about that years ago about the black women disappearing, it wasn't just about the sex trafficking. It was also about body parts.
Well, yeah,
a lot of bodies were,
There's so many different things that they do, which is just, we live in a world that's sick.
Yes.
There's people, but we live in a world that's motivated by money. So these things, how sick they are, people do demented things for money. I just literally, Richard and I watched a movie. We know we into horror. I don't know the name of the movie. Probably have to look it up and put it up there for you. But again, it was about harvesting body parts. You know,
I think I may have seen. Was it a black actress in it or no? Okay.
But maybe. Child, I watched some. Sorry, I seem confused, right? But no, I watched so many different movies. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe it was that one.
One movie to watch if you have not watched: Get Out.
I'm quite sure. Hopefully,
bitch, that's old.
It's not old, but it's still a representation of what we're talking about currently.
It was for the man. They kidnapped the man. It wasn't.
Yes, for the harvesting parts.
Yes, for the harvesting. Yes.
Yes.
And I honestly think that in the grand scheme of things like that be happening still.
I'm
sorry.
Sure.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Those little secret societies, and I'm quite sure.
I don't put nothing past anybody because
just some sick, demented individual.
And going back to what you said about like the hospital and having kids, I remember I was too young I didn't know how to formulate the words outside of telling what I'm about to tell you, what I said to this nurse.
I have a story as well.
Yeah, but so when I had my first son, I was in my very early 20s, and I was at a hospital in the Bronx.
Location.
I have to tell you the location.
Ethnicity.
I have to. So it's in the Bronx. My doctor, she was fine. She was an African American woman, so she definitely was good. Yeah. But the nurse. So after having him. And forgive me for not my words. I cannot string them right together today, people. But there is a certain terminology when the kid gets surprised and they're doing like they have frequent movements. It's like they're like startled, right?
Yes.
But there's a certain term, a medical term for that when babies, newborns are startled, right? And sometimes if you have a newborn and they could be sleeping quietly and all of a sudden they do this with their hands or something, right? Apparently, now mind you, he's not even maybe an hour after me having him, they put him under the light because they said he had a little bit of jaundice.
Okay.
So they put him under the light, and then he was getting startled. So the nurse comes in. She asks my husband to leave. She comes in. She says, "This your boyfriend?" And we both look so young. I mean, we were young, you know. And I said no. And there's my husband. He was like, well, he needs to leave. I gotta talk to you. So I thought that was bizarre.
Because that's your husband.
That's my husband. So he should be able to be here.
Yeah.
But either way, he does leave.
Okay.
Right? She proceeds to ask me, she was like, were you using drugs?
I knew that was going to be the question.
Were you using drugs? So I look at her and I was like, what? Now, that is crazy because my response saying what? Instead of saying no, that's, normal people like, oh, you're defending. Right? Yeah. And I said, what? And she was like, we're using drugs. I said, why are you asking me this? And she says, because your son, the medical term, he's very startled. And that's normally something when women are using drugs. And I said, you made my husband leave the room for this bullshit. And now I will be the first one to say, especially when y'all know I'm a little fiery already, but when I was younger, it was really bad. So I basically, I said, you made him leave the room. He can come back in. And she was like, I said, no. Number one, no, I wasn't using drugs. 2, fuck you.
Right.
That would have been the first one.
No, I need to make 2, fuck you.
Yeah. And bring my husband
back in here. And mind you, now, I said, the jaundice, is he good? Is he in the clear?
Bring my son.
Yeah, I said, bring him. He's staying with me the whole time. Fuck you. Yeah. Right now, again, had I been a person of another complexion,
none of that would have even came out.
And in a zip code that wasn't predominantly black, you're not going to ask me that. You're going to say, because infants legitimately, they get startled.
Yeah. I never heard that before. That's the first time I've heard of that. But
she said that's normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it's normal, then why you ask me I'm on drugs? That's just...
Because I'm black.
Yeah, of course. So my story is that I was in my early 20s too when I had my son. And I'm in extreme pain.
Okay.
Because I was borderline like preeclampsia. Going to the hospital.
In the Bronx. Because I know where you had yours. And she had her further south.
Yes. Be very specific. Yes. Not by choice, but by proximity.
But that makes a difference
by
still.
Proximity. That's where I was living at the time. So, and he's examining me or whatever. And I'm telling him I'm in pain. And the nurse tells him, be careful. She's in pain. It's not my problem. She's in here, having a child as a teenager or whatever.
You wasn't even a teenager.
I wasn't a teenager. I was working and had my own health insurance. So one, they thought I was young. I was on welfare, Medicaid, whatever. All these prejudgments. I worked for a financial institution. They are our clients. So I knew the CEO. Get upstairs. They wound up keeping my son, and I was trying to discharge me. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why am I being discharged and he's not? They wasn't even trying to tell me anything. So I was like, well, I'm not leaving. Prior to them telling me I had to leave, it was miss this, miss that. Because now they know I have insurance. I got talked to a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is some bullshit. But I wrote the CEO
That's right.
immediately.
Good.
And told him that your hospital is full of shit.
Mm-hmm. Still a piece of shit, but
it's still a piece of shit.
Yeah, sure. But it was worse back then.
Absolutely worse back then. But they make these prejudgments of you because of where you come from, how you look on the outside, and they have no idea who they're dealing with walking through the door. But again, it goes back to women's rights, but furthermore, women's rights who are like us.
And you just jarred another memory, because with my mother-in-law, when she was diagnosed with cancer, I would go before we got the diagnosis. Okay. So we were at the very same hospital that she had her first kid at, and I had to advocate for her. They were just not giving enough information. It was all very vague. Then they would question me, well, who are you to her? And then she would have to say, no, this is my daughter-in-law, you know. And we didn't know what it was, but why is she so sick?
Right.
And I was like, well, run the test. You know, like, I don't care. And then finally, if you don't speak up, they're not gonna, they're just routine book, just, you know, and then it's routine, it's book, and then they make their own prejudgments about the people that are frequent in that hospital, right? Yeah. So when they get someone that can advocate and speak freely, then they start looking. I was like, you know, and I'll be the first one to say, okay, you're not giving my answers. Let's go talk to somebody who can give me answers, because clearly you're incapable. Right. So what is it? And then when I start talking like that, then they really want to knock me upside my head. I know, but I'm like, I'm not leaving here. And guess what? You have another appointment. I don't care. We need an answer. So if you can't point me out to someone who can give, we just gonna stand here looking at each other.
You know what? We had so many experience with this damn hospital that I can't even remember.
It's horrible.
I was about to lose my shit in there not even 5 years ago.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Not even 5 years ago.
I'm happy to say I didn't have an experience like that. My daughter was born in the Bronx Hospital, but my two sons was born at the same hospital in the Lower East Side. Yeah. So, and I love that hospital.
I'm going to tell you it's different, because location makes a difference. Because I had a different experience when I had my daughter. Yeah. In another hospital. We know we still have a lot of things to do, or a lot of progress to make for women. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get there in our time here on Earth, but who knows? I mean, I feel like the youth are the younger generation, I should say.
They're carrying the torch.
They're
more progressive. They're more vocal.
Oh, for sure.
And we love that.
And I feel like they're gonna get us there, hopefully.
Yes.
I mean, I would love to be able to see it, but that's only if the good man upstairs tell me I'll be here to see it. But I would love to see a lot of changes for us as women. And I pray that a lot of things that have been taken from us right now today will return. Yes. Because we should have those rights. Yeah. Because the only thing that's going to come out of that is stuff that we seen before our time happen again. And that's unfortunate. I'm going to be losing lives unnecessarily because they don't have the rights to make a decision.
So for all you younger generation out there, keep fighting the good fight. Y'all doing the damn thing. And we love you for it.
Yes.
All right.
Cheers, ladies.
And here's to another episode. Cheers.